Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Cramer, alongside my co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan. And Dan, how you doing today, buddy?
Oh, doing good. That loss was just pathetic. This team really looked mentally drained from the game before. It felt like.
Yeah,
And
the Rangers you're talking about, by the way, just not looking good tonight.
yeah, it felt like I don't know why. It always seems to feel like that after the night after. If they had to play a game the night after, such wrenching loss as last night.
Yeah, that was really tough. Shesterkin last night against the Colorado Avalanche, um, you know, really played his heart out, played absolutely incredible for most of the night, facing 40 plus shots again. And on the other side, former Ranger Alexander Georgiev gets his revenge, and he also had a 40 save night, and he got the victory in the shootout. And unfortunately, the Rangers, lost that game, but did come away with a point. Now, just like you said, terrible offensive effort tonight against the Islanders, where they get shut out 3-0. Um, you know, I don't know about you too. Let's just jump right into this game now, and the Rangers and Islanders as a whole now, as this is a very nice win for the Islanders. Really, really strong performance from Sorokin, who's really establishing himself as one of the upper echelon goaltenders in the NHL right now. And just a terrible effort by the Rangers, man. What are you feeling about the Rangers now? After these back-to-back losses now, and 4 straight overall.
I don't know. I just feel like this team's probably gonna calm down a little bit. They got a couple of days off till Saturday afternoon. Hopefully, maybe get a little rest tomorrow. Maybe just hopefully they just get back in sync with as a team and jump back on the horse again Saturday and hope. And they got to put this one behind. It's still early in the season, so I'm not really hitting the panic button yet. Right, it's a slow start, and hopefully this will get in a nice little run.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Definitely not time to hit the panic button yet. I mean, just like you said, we're only a handful of games into the season. One thing, however, that does surprise me is how badly the offense played tonight. And I do agree, it's the second night of back to backs. The Islanders are a very good defensive team. So, maybe those two things just worked against the Rangers, you know, tonight more than it would on most nights. But I don't know. I think that they should have been able to get something from their top 2 lines. They really haven't gotten that much from Chris Kreider yet this year. You really would like to see him step up, at some point over the last couple of games. And he really hasn't yet, but I do think he's gonna get his numbers. But I mean, what do you think about this lack of offense right so far?
Well, Kreider, I feel like he probably had to spend a lot of the off season because he had surgery. He really didn't have a normal off season. Those off season, just coming back from the injury is literally almost like trying to being active during a game, almost trying to come back from an injury. It's a lot of work coming. It's a lot of work coming back from an injury. So he had to go through a more intense off season than he would if he wasn't coming off of an injury or coming off of a surgery.
Very good point. Very good point. I mean, that's something that people do forget, that especially from that long playoff run, a lot of these guys are still recovering from whatever injuries they had at the end of last year. It didn't end until June, So you are right about that. And Chris Kreider is one of those guys that maybe it's taking him a little extra longer to hit his stride this year. But I'm not trashing the guy. I'm not giving up on him by any stretch. But you would hopefully like to see him start getting especially on the power play too, is where you've really noticed that they're missing him. I mean, obviously the power play has performed very well so far this year, except for really the last game against Colorado when they went 0 for 4, didn't really look too good on the power play. I mean, they did get some shots, but I don't know about how many high danger shots there were against Georgiev on the power play, at least. They did have a bunch of good opportunities against him, and really have to tip your cap to him. And same thing with Sorokin tonight.
Exactly. It's like this broken it. Same last night. I mean, when we were facing Yorga, the guy looked like he was making saves on his head.
No doubt about it. And now that we're talking about goalies too, I got to tell you, I was not a fan of this signing when the Rangers did it. I tried to put on a happy face and be a good soldier because I wanted to trust Drury, especially after that. But postseason run last year and a lot of the moves that he made to get there, I was willing to put my trust in him. But I do not like the signing of Halak. Um, I I'm not comfortable with him being the backup goalie. I think us as Ranger fans kind of had rose colored glasses when it comes to this guy because Halak always did play really well against the Rangers. Well, guess what, guys? He can't face the Rangers anymore. So, now he is a Ranger. So now he's got to face the other teams. And I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of Halak, as I believe he drops to 0-3 now. What are you thinking about him?
I don't know. It just feels like it leaves us at a disadvantage the days we got to play back-to-back games because of it. Unless
Yeah,
we in because right now it just feels like we're at a disadvantage. The day at back-to-back games, we're at a disadvantage the next day, depending
yeah.
who's in.
But you know what? I will say this now that you mentioned that too. If I was the coach, and God knows I'm not the coach, and Gerard Gallant is a very, very good NHL head coach who got the Rangers 2 wins away from a Stanley Cup final last year. And I think he's a great head coach. I'm a big fan of Gerard Gallant. But if it were up to me and everything was equal, I would start. I would have started Igor tonight, back to back, and I would have had Igor play. He's still a young guy. Maybe Gallant didn't want to push him because it's early in the season. Maybe he didn't want it to look like he was losing faith in Halak, which I understand. Halak didn't play that bad tonight. Halak was not the reason that the Rangers lost tonight. Let's put it that way. Even though I'm not that happy with Halak as the backup, he wasn't the reason the Rangers lost. Their lack of offense was the reason why they lost, or
That's
or inability to beat Sorokin. I'm sorry. What you say? What are you gonna say?
offense didn't seem like they were alive tonight. And I have to say, Gallant. I feel like probably as it gets further into season, you're going to see more of Igor going back-to-back games on back-to-back days.
It could be. It could be. And it just all depends on what Gerard Gallant's thinking was when it came to this decision. Uh it could have been any of the ones that we've mentioned already. So who knows? Maybe Gallant's just one of those guys that doesn't like playing his goalie back to back. That's a fashionable thing these days. A lot of these coaches don't like to push their goalies that much. We remember the days where Henrik Lundqvist started, I believe it was either 72 or 73 games out of the 2008 or 2007 season, right around there. And, uh, you know, you don't see that today. Goalies don't do that. They don't push, even as lopsided as any goalie tandem would be with Igor as the number one. You're still going to see at least 20 to 25 games of any backup, right?
Yeah, that's what it feels like we're going to be seeing. So, because we're going to have to get used to it and hope for the best.
Yeah, yeah, it's all he could do. And hey, this is the reason why the Rangers went out and signed a guy like Louis Domingue, the Penguins' third string goalie who ended up facing the Rangers in the first round of the playoffs for most of last year. For most of that first round. Um, and this is why the Rangers got him. He's insurance down in the AHL right now, playing with the Wolfpack and the kids down there. And you know, they it's all going to depend if they want to stick with Halak, which they're going to for now.
Yeah.
Especially after today, he didn't do anything that bad to lose his job, but that's why they have him down there.
Yeah, and Domingue could easily be brought up. I mean, the guy was, if you remember us Ranger fans, that guy seemed like a very tough opponent during that first round. Somehow we managed to win against. We didn't expect this third string goalie to be such a tough opponent. He was.
He single handedly kept them in a couple of those games, and really put the Rangers on the brink, especially when they were down 3-1. So you have to tip your cap to Lou Domingue. He proved himself last year, even though a lot of people, including myself, honestly, didn't really take him seriously. You have to give him credit for that. And now he's in the Rangers organization. And hey, if Halak should falter and really prove that he's not an NHL goalie, at least with the Rangers right now, I have no problem giving Louis Domingue a shot.
Yep, same here.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of players coming up from Hartford, did you notice that Julien Gauthier was back up from the Wolfpack, where he was having a pretty decent start to his season, and it was interesting to see him in the lineup because once again, unfortunately, Vitaly Kravtsov got hurt at the end of the Avalanche game and didn't play the final 5 minutes or overtime. So got to hope for the best with Kravtsov, but it was good to see Julien Gauthier back up, and he got a really good chance against Sorokin early in the game, and Sorokin unfortunately stopped it with the left pad.
Unfortunate. I really went into this game thinking, oh, we got this and everything, and I'm saying like, yeah, I'm ready to laugh at my uncle Mike who was at the game. My uncle Mike, they get older. He's always at all those games, so I
Uh-huh.
was like ready to laugh at him, and because he's like, fortunately he got the last laugh today. Unfortunately, my uncle Mike got the last laugh, and probably my dad up above. My because I learned as when I started learning about things about my father, I learned my dad was an Islander fan.
Oh, you're an Islander fan. Okay, okay. Well, and by the way, now that you mentioned that, I do want to say that yesterday was your dad's birthday, as you mentioned on Twitter. So let's give a shout out to a happy birthday to Bobo's dad, up in heaven. So give him a happy birthday up there.
Birthday to my father. His name was Robert Kurlan. I got the same middle name as my dad.
Very cool. And also, actually, as a matter of fact, on Monday it was my dad's birthday. So happy birthday, Dad. So,
Oh, we're probably me and my dad are probably at rival sides during baseball during hockey season, but because my dad was a Yankee fan. But football season, me and my dad are on the same side. We're both Giant fans.
Giant fans. And you know what? Actually, now that you mentioned that, I think we broke that Rangers Islanders game down enough too, because I kind of want to move on from that as quickly as possible. You mentioned the Giants. Let's start off football wise with your New York Football Giants, my friend. And you must be very thrilled with your team right now, 6-1 through the first 7 weeks of the season.
That game felt like it was like going to be a nail biter to the second because it looked like our offense was kind of clicking. They were a tough offense. It felt like, and it's like those last those last 2 minutes of Sunday's game, you have no idea how loud and how nervous I was. Maybe there was a couple of cursing, a couple of blown calls by the refs. So you may have heard me every time I've gotten upset when I think a ref messed up a call, I'll be chanting bullshit, bullshit. I'll always be chanting that. I've even well, though this might be real, but I've said if I had a daughter, I would not let her marry an umpire or a referee.
I've seen you say that.
And I even once posted a Twitter. I said, "Don't let your daughters date referees or umpires." I even told my sister when she was little, "Don't date an umpire."
Well, that game was crazy, man. It came right down to the wire. Giants, Jacksonville. Giants ended up beating the Jaguars 23-17 in Jacksonville. And it just came, yeah, like we were saying, man, it just came right down to the wire. I mean, once again, Daniel Jones didn't turn over the ball. And Jacksonville, they had a chance to win it there at the end. And the Giants defense just stood up and the Giants got the victory, man. And now it's moving on to Seattle. And you have to be so happy with the Giants. They're such a well coached team. There's such a difference in the way they play and the way they carry themselves. And you have to just give Brian Dayball and the whole Giants organization and this new administration they have in there. You have to give them all the credit in the world.
I feel they're finally getting it. I mean, we're seeing, like I said, I'm seeing Saquon Barkley. Hopefully he goes the rest of the season without getting hurt because he's finally showing what he can do. I feel like, and then also Daniel Jones is finally coming into his own. He's probably taking a little time. I feel like it would not shock me if he has, if he keeps this up, what he's doing now, he gets an extension during the off season. It would surprise me if we don't retain Daniel Jones because he's finally coming into his own. It's almost reminding me of Eli Manning. I feel like the first year maybe a little bit kind of like wondering if Eli Manning is he going to be this guy that we expect, but somehow I just had a feel it looked like over time like he started to get comfortable playing as he got comfortable playing in the NFL. The guy was like money and freaking got some big wins and some big spots. He's like the only guy that can say, and I will forever remind every Patriots fan I know. Yeah, Eli beat you guys twice. I think
They did.
I've even once jokingly showed a would flash a picture of my ticket to the city hall ceremony. I was in the audience of the city hall ceremony. I got to be in the audience of it. That city hall ceremony.
That's that's awesome, man.
I think I've done that. I think maybe I may have shown a picture of the New York Daily News from from when they won Super Bowl 42. I still have that copy of the New York Daily News. And I may have used the hashtag 18-1.
Well, hey, I mean that was Super Bowl 42, and the Giants have won one since then, and the way they're playing right now, and the way they're putting the position, that they're putting themselves in, there's every reason to think that this could be another banner year for the Giants. I mean, why not? Like we were saying on the show last week, why not dream big? This team is 6-1 for a reason, right?
Yeah, exactly. I might be going as far as saying that if you're a Giants fan and you host a Super Bowl party, you might want to. I'm pretty much expecting pretty much all your decorations are going to be Giants themed.
You got that right, man. And now what were you gonna say?
It's, I say as it gets, if they keep this up, people might want to start maybe ordering some the maybe some of the Giants plates and stuff for the Super Bowl party.
Exactly. And you got a big test next week because they're 4-3 and nobody really thinks that much of them. But Seattle is always a tough place to play, and the Giants really have to go in there and just continue to be as well focused and well coached as they've been all year. Because otherwise that Seattle game could kind of be a trap game. But the good thing is, if you look at the Giants' schedule, after that, they have two home games against the Lions and the Texans. The Texans are one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Lions, you never know. The Lions could come out and be a fire in offense and score 40 points, or they could get shut out like they did against the Patriots. So you never know what you're going to get from the Lions.
Yeah.
But the Texans is a very winnable game.
And as far as I know, they should not take any of these opponents lightly, because it's always when it goes south is when they take these opponents too lightly. Like, just
Exactly.
foot on the gas. Let's just rest it away and keep extending this momentum, because I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. And it's been quite a few years since I could say it's been like this.
No doubt about it. I mean, the last time the Giants had a run like this was 2016 with that team Eli's last hurrah and everything. But if we look at it like if we're gonna do like the Francesa schedule breakdown, like he would always go through it and be like win. He'd do so he would try to add up winnable games and stuff like that. So if you we really want to look at it, so over the next three games with Seattle, Houston, and Detroit, if the Giants come out of that 2-1, that means they're going to be 8-2. That's a great after your first 10 games. Who would have thought? I mean, if I would have told you in August that the Giants were going to be 8-2 after their first 10 games, you would have thought I was crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was crazy. I was like really not. I wasn't sure what to expect with this team going into the season. Like, I don't know. I said, yeah, maybe this is just going to be a team that's just going to try to just bounce back. Maybe kind of get maybe they're kind of going to step in the right direction. Maybe toward next year, but they're showing maybe 1 year earlier than I expected what they could be.
Oh yeah, they took a giant leap this year under Dayball, and we were just talking about these next 3 weeks too. So, you know, if we were saying, okay, if they come out of it 2-1 against these teams. Now, if you look at it, the 3 weeks after that too is really going to determine this season because those are three head-to-head NFC East teams where you get at Dallas, and then that's the Thanksgiving game that we've discussed. So that's at Dallas, and then you get Washington and Philadelphia after that. So I think we're really going to know where the Giants stand as a team after that 3 game set is done too, because who knows what the NFC East could look at like at that point with the way Philadelphia started off, and Dallas with their great defense, and now Dak is back too.
Yeah, so that could is going to be a pretty interesting next couple of weeks. I can tell you that.
No doubt about it, man. And on the other side of MetLife too, it's been a pretty interesting time for the New York Jets as they played in Denver at Mile High this past week and won 16-9. And the defense just continues to play great. Russell Wilson didn't play in this game. He still had hamstring issues, so he was out. But the defense played great. The Jets won 16-9. They got a big 63-yard rush or 62-yard rush from running back Brees Hall. And unfortunately, that's going to be the last big rush they're going to get from Brees Hall this year as he tore his ACL in that game. A devastating blow to the Jets as Brees Hall was looking like he really had a awesome shot to get offensive rookie of the year, and really really tough that he went down like that. You know,
Imagined. I'm just I kind of was like looking at that game a little bit after the Giants game ended, as I'm waiting for like the for the waiting for some other stuff I watch on Sunday to start, and I have to say that I was just could only imagine a look on Larry David's face that he must have been after that injury, and just hearing in my head like. Uh, I just had that image of, oh my god, poor Joe Benengo. I mean, this guy had age handling that. Oh boy, it must have been tough on somebody his age having a stomach seeing that.
Dude, and I'm telling you, man, as soon as I saw him go down, it was a very innocent looking play to the left, and he gets taken down. And I'm not the only one, but I heard him let out this yell when he hit the ground. And you just knew as soon as you heard that, that's not good. There's a good chance that, I didn't know it was his ACL, but I knew it was, I just knew by the way he yelled that that was probably the last time I was going to see him carry the ball this season. So very unfortunate situation. And then the other thing that sucked for the Jets on Sunday, it's the most devastating 16-9 win I've ever seen. As the Jets lost, pretty much at this point, their utility offensive lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker, who has just been awesome this year wherever they've put him. He's played left tackle, he's played right tackle, he's played guard, he's been all over the place, and he's been great wherever they've put him. Well, he tore his triceps, so he'll be out for the year too. And I got to tell you, that blindsided a lot of people too. A couple of people were saying that he might be out for a month, he might be out for 5 or 6 games. Ends up being a devastating season-ending injury. What do you think when you heard that, Dan?
Oh, I cannot tell you those injuries you're talking about. Also, I have to say it just makes you sad when you see someone when they have to cart the guy off the field with the cart. That just you just hope the guy cannot. You just hope that you don't want to see anyone, whoever you're a fan of, you just don't want to see anyone get hurt like that. And you hope they can make it back onto the field, and hopefully it doesn't linger on to the rest of their lives. I mean, football's can be rough on anyone who's played it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've known some people who play football in college. I mean, in high school, and said that have talked about just talk about maybe the aftermath of maybe a bad hit or a bad fall the wrong way. How painful it can be. I've heard stories of how painful it can be. So it just hurts me. Just just thinking about how rough that's got to be. I mean, be speaking of that, even sometimes some players, I mean, post career that just almost seem sad. I remember once turning on TV that, and back then, like the default channel was like ESPN, and seeing this thing that was Sports Center, and they're interviewing Jim McMahon, and he's talking about some struggles his post playing life, his health wise. It was weird seeing this guy he looked kind of frail. This guy that I mean, if you know about your history and seen footage of this guy, he seemed to have had this toughness about him, cornerback, and
Oh
you see,
yeah, with the sunglasses and everything from the Chicago Bears Super Bowl video and everything, and
yeah, and you see
yeah,
the guy look frail. It's
yeah,
like,
it's
oof.
it's crazy. What these guys put their bodies through really is just crazy in the NFL, and that's why the average career in the NFL, I'm pretty sure it's only like 3.5 years, if that. So a lot of these guys really sacrifice their health,
I've
long term.
seen this ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. There is this documentary called Broke. I highly recommend you see it because this is kind of really gives you into perspective the dark side about sometimes what happens when these athletes have mismanaged their when they were making a lot of money, how they've mismanaged it.
Yeah,
And a little trend that this seems to happen a lot with a lot of football players. I've noticed. It kind of scares me how that seems to happen a lot with football players. I see it a lot with basketball players. I mean, of course, I've also seen it happen with some baseball players, but for some reason, it happen a lot with football. These players somehow they I don't know how they end up in debt with what they're doing to mismanage the funds, but and this documentary really put things into perspective. How such how how much for football players they can go in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it, especially with sudden injuries. And just like we mentioned earlier, where you were talking about how hard it could be for these guys to come back from their injury, and sometimes they're not necessarily the same player. It really reminds me of Saquon Barkley, where after he had that devastating injury, look how long it's taken him to come back to look like the player that we knew when he got drafted by the Giants that he was. I really believe that his injuries played a large role in why we're just finally seeing him break out again this year. In the previous years before this, maybe the 2 years, or maybe even a little bit more before this, he just didn't seem like he had that same explosiveness. It looks like he finally got it back. But I mean, man, that's a long time after that injury, and you just hope that Brees Hall can bounce back quickly after that tough injury, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it just puts perspective. It's just like one little hit and wrong way, and it's like it could not even affect your career as a football player. It could affect your life.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And speaking of a guy who was on the injury report last week against the Giants, by the way, James Robinson, running back for the Jaguars, um, he said that he's got some knee soreness, and but he also said that the Jaguars were kind of phasing him out, but he got phased out right to the Jets for a conditional sixth round draft pick. It's a sixth round pick right now, but if he runs for between 250 and 300 yards, right around there, the Jets will have to fork over a fifth round draft pick for him. And this is the immediate reaction that Joe Douglas had, pretty much once upon learning that his star rookie running back Hall is going to be out for the year. What'd you think when you heard this, Dan? I think it was a pretty quick, good strike for the Jets there.
Yep, I think it's a good strike. It's a nice little, probably nice little low risk, high ceiling pick they made. I mean, trade they made, and it could work out for them in the long run this year.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think you nailed it too, right there. It's low risk, high reward. So, I mean, hey, you give a fifth round pick. The Jets right now are 5-2, and they're playing the Patriots next week. This is the big time game. They're entering DeBrickashaw Ferguson, their former left tackle, into the Ring of Honor for the Jets next on Sunday. They're playing the Patriots for the first time this year. And if you remember one of the games the Jets played against Patriots last year, they got whooped 54-13. So the Jets have to be out here. I know they're banged up right now. And you can't be expecting 20 carries and 150 yards out of James Robinson in his first game as a Jet. They're gonna work him in slowly. But I think that's a good pickup, like you said, and I think that the Jets have a real shot against the Patriots. The Patriots had a rough game against the Bears on Monday night, which also makes me think they're a dangerous opponent. And Belichick named Mac Jones as the starter for Sunday's game now. So as we're getting a little close now. I mean, it's Wednesday for us. People will be seeing this on Thursday, so I'm sure an updated Vegas line will be out there. But the last I saw, the Jets were a point and a half dogs at home against the Pats. Dan, if you had to pick right now and you had to look at this, uh, what are your thoughts? Do you think that the Jets should be favored? Do you think the Jets will win? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think, well, even though this is the Patriots, I mean, it's not the same Patriots, the threat that we always come to know the Patriots as. They're still, it's the Jets are still like an underdog until they've proven against. I guess maybe it's like weird to call the Patriots an okay team because
True, true.
them being favorites to win it all this year. So they're kind of an okay team. They're right there, sort of. I guess they could say they're in the level of contender, but I could tell you this. I'm not gonna. I personally don't do all this crazy sports betting thing, but yeah, might be able to pull off a nice little upset special if you might bet a little pocket money on this if you want to. right?
Exactly. Only if you want to and responsibly. And I do agree with you though, Dan. I think that the Jets, definitely could win this game. I also, I know a lot of Jet fans are upset and bent out of shape because the Jets are the underdog in this game at home and they're 5-2. But I mean, let me put something in perspective. The Jets still have to prove it to everybody. They have to prove it every single week, and I know at 5-2 we're feeling really good about our team, but Vegas and other people aren't going to respect you until you start beating teams like the Patriots. So do it. Go out there and do it. The Jets right now are 2 games ahead in the standings of the Patriots. And that's the first time the Jets have been 2 games ahead of the Patriots in the standings at any point in the season since week 10 of the 2001 season. It's been 21 years. So, let's go earn that respect. Don't sit here and demand it and cry that we didn't get it. And when we talk about the Yankees in a little bit, then we'll talk about crying. But the as for the Jets, don't you know don't cry over spilt milk. Okay, let's just sit here, enjoy this 5-2 team, and fly under the radar for as long as we can. Let's talk about this ALCS now. Very difficult loss for the Yankees, man. They go down 4 straight to Houston, as the Astros sweep the Yankees, ending that series at Yankee Stadium. Really tough series if you're a Yankee fan. What were your immediate reactions after that series?
Well, that one I knew like I mean, and by the way, I'm not making fun of Dave or anything, but I'm just saying I knew Dave would be upset if they didn't win it. But
Mm-hmm.
when I saw like I kind of knew Houston was gonna be a tough team. Like I kind of expected that series might go to a game 7, and that really hit by surprise. They I actually did not expect that we're gonna get. I mean, even though I'm a Mets fan, I did not. I wouldn't I wasn't surprised that Houston won, but I did not expect to see the Yankees get swept in a postseason series. This I have net. I don't recall ever seeing that of the years I've been watching baseball. This is like that's like a real rare. That is like a rarity, unheard of, and I've seen it in game 7s, but that I've never seen. The you get swept, and we saw something that was like a rare. I mean, baseball fans all over the world watching this game, regardless of who you're a fan of, saw what probably was a rare occurrence in baseball. And Houston swept a very tough Yankees team. Those games looked like they were, even though they were swept, they were very highly contested. That those games could have gone either way.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it, man. Um, you know the Yankees were in every game. It was especially that last game, that game 4, such a tough loss. The Yankees, got that lead. Then Houston came flying back. The Yankees took the lead again, and then Houston took the lead for good. So it was just a very very tough loss for the Yankees. You know, Now, what do you think? People are trying to make a big deal of Yankee fans booing Aaron Judge. He
Oh,
went 1 for 16. I don't know. What do you think about that? It doesn't seem like it's much to me.
I don't know. I understand that a lot of Yankee fans are. I understand that they're probably upset. I mean, I would be too upset. I mean, I was upset when Carlos Beltran. I didn't boo Beltran, but I was upset at that. Like, I still think he should have swung. But him at that last out of the 2007, I mean 2006 NLCS. I was upset, but the guy was like, it cannot difficult. The guy, the guy seemed to be getting a lot of big hits during his playing career. Aaron Judge, the guy is a very talented player, and unfortunately, the way it goes sometimes in baseball, even the greats have a terrible at bat, and he just had a terrible at bat in probably one of the biggest spots there was. I mean, he that at bat looked like it could have gone either way, but at the same time, I just feel like that closer seemed to be pumped for that last out. That I've never, I rarely see a closer not phased by such a tough hitter as tough as Aaron Judge. I mean, the only other this year, the only time I've seen a closer that seemed to be not phased like that. I mean, I remember all year during baseball season, Diaz, the way he
Yeah.
was close
Well,
had that.
and we can't put the loss and everything on Aaron Judge. I mean, the guy, it's not his fault that the Yankees lost that series. Josh Donaldson was really not good in that series. Not having guys like Benintendi and LeMahieu out there hurt. The Yankees just didn't come through when they needed to, especially offensively. Earlier in the series, the Houston pitching shut them down. The Yankee offense finally scored 5 in Game 4, but it was too late, and Houston was already rolling and came back, and Houston scored 6, and see you later. So I don't like when people want to put the whole loss on Aaron Judge. It's not his fault. And he wasn't the only culprit. There's a lot of guys. I'm sure a lot of Yankee fans are happy with what they saw out of guys like Harrison Bader, who had a great run, and Anthony Rizzo, who had some big moments. But other than that, there's a black hole in the Yankees lineup, and the Yankees are going to have to address that, right?
Exactly, and it it's gonna be a. It looks like Aaron Judge is going to be a highly contested free agent. I
Yeah,
mean, in a we're not in that age where it seemed like Steinbrenner had the means to pretty much outspend anybody. It seems these days we have other owners that are opening up the checkbooks. I mean, that have like I guess maybe they've sort of maybe I guess maybe learned from the Steinbrenners in a way. They finally figured out maybe that yeah, maybe I gotta finally spend a little more to win.
yeah.
And
Well, I
that
mean, people look at the Dodgers, man. Money makes money.
yeah, they seem to figure it out and at the same time not decimate the farm system,
Yep.
still be spending a lot of money and not decimate the farm system. And I feel that's what Steve Cohen is wanting to do. That I feel he's going to be a lot of the big moves that the Mets, the management is going to be making is going to be in free agency.
Yeah,
More,
well, I definitely agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there. But the fact of the matter is, though, that right now we're in Steve Cohen's second year, and so far we've seen 2 National League East teams play in the World Series, and neither of them have been the Mets. And now we've seen the Astros play 3 National League East teams in the World Series now since 2019. Um, before we move on from this, I do want to get your thoughts on this World Series. What are your thoughts on the Phillies winning the pennant?
this one really hurt me as a Mets fan. This one seems to hurt me even more than 2008. Felt like I felt like we were a team that might have carried and had we made it, may have carried that same momentum that Philly seemed to have carried when they just barely made it in. It's
Yeah,
just that even now with this, I mean, we have finished that. I mean, we looked like, I mean, we actually had made the playoffs and felt like we were, we had a good shot if we made it. And it didn't turn out that way. And these guys they, they're turning out, and even worse, seeing Bryce Harper on that team, which as an opponent, I have respect for him, but I just definitely don't like him when we oppose him. I don't know what it is. It's just something that about we oppose him, seeing that hair flip thing that he does, his freaking headband. I guess maybe. I mean, let's face it. If a couple, I admit, if a couple of years ago had Steve Cohen bought the Mets a little earlier, I think he probably would have been a Met had he been had Steve Cohen had bought the team for the Will Punt a few years ago. Maybe we would have saw him, like how he's wearing his baseball shoes. He's wearing Bryce Harper is wearing these sneakers that have the Philly Fanatic on them. He would have been wearing shoes that had Mr. Met on them. I think had Steve Cohen owned the Mets back, he
I
probably would have
think
been
you're definitely right about that, man. No doubt about it. And Zach Wheeler would have come back too.
exactly. I like Zach Wheeler would still be a Met too had Steve Cohen on the team. That one really hurt when he left us. We didn't the freaking Will Punt didn't even make an offer to Wheeler.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Atrocious scene. I don't know what we could have done about Syndergaard because unfortunately Syndergaard just turned our back on us. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But see, like that really did suck when he went to the Angels. And then obviously he comes back, he gets traded to freaking Phillies. That is just one of the things that really one of the many things that really bothers me about this Phillies team. And you know what though? All credit to them. Congratulations. They won the pennant. They got hot at the right time. Got to tip your cap to the Phillies. They got the job done when it mattered. But the things that really kill me as a Mets fan is Zach Wheeler being there because he should still be a Met. Noah Syndergaard, just because it's Noah Syndergaard, and the fact that he's in the Phillies in the World Series kills me. You know, JT Real Muto too. When you think of how long did Met fans salivate over the idea of getting JT Real Muto on board? Well, he ends up going to the Phillies, and the Mets chose James McCann, and we see how well that's worked out. When there are so many things about this Phillies team that just bothers me, right? And I'm sure with you too.
exactly. It just bothers me. Also, I feel like going into this World Series, I just have a hunch that Houston's potentially going to win this. Like, I feel like Houston has this chip on their shoulder. Look, really looks like, and finally, and then we got. I said it before. Dusty Baker. He wants to win a World Series. He wants to finally be able to go out and walk away from the game as having been a world champ, having have that managerial world champions World Series as a manager, have that ring that he won that as a manager.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. And he right now so far is the all-time leader in managerial games, managed without a World Series championship, over 2,000. In contrast, Buck Showalter is on that list too, but he's at 1,600 games. So Buck is even, two plus. Buck is 2+ seasons behind Dusty Baker in games managed. So, I'm pulling for Dusty. I know you are too. Obviously, as Met fans, we're going to be rooting for the Astros in this one. But I definitely would like to see Dusty win that World Series that he's been waiting for a while.
This team just like, and just the way this team is, the Astros are playing, they look like they want to finally get that chip off of their shoulders. That cheating chip. I'm
Yep.
sure Astro players, I'm sure they hear about it on social media. Even though, may I remind you, I think only 4 players on this current Astros team played for were on that 2017 Astro. Only
Mhm.
4 from that team are still in that.
Yeah,
So
and I don't want to hear the people still complaining about Jose Altuve. Like, give me a freaking break. Jose Altuve is probably going to be a Hall of Famer, and these people are crying about cheating with. I don't it just seems disingenuous at this point. Okay, they did some shady things back in 2017. Everybody thinks they did something maybe with a buzzer in 2019, but nobody can prove that. And I don't know. I'm tired of all the whining about the cheating, right?
Yeah, I feel like maybe those teams may have been cheating, but this seems like they're not cheating, and they've already been caught, so they know they can't really get away with it. They're here trying to prove that they badly want this championship. It would, and as far as they see this one, if you doubted 2017, this one would really be legitimate that they want it no cheating, and they want it legitimately no cheating. This one, like you cannot
Yep.
deny if they win it. This one will I feel should not be second guessed. They did it. There is no banging trash cans or buzzers going on. I mean, I've seen people make. I know people this year who went to Minute Maid Park. I saw all the Mets on the road in Houston. You have no idea how many jokes I've been seeing about pictures of trash cans at Minute Maid Park saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm checking camera for trash cans." One, as far as I see, if they win this champion, if they win, the Astros win the 2022 World Series, it is legitimate. They want it, no cheating, no problem. They're I'm sure they'll probably end holding a sign saying no cheating, no problem.
Very true. Well said, man. Well said. Because hey, I think it's totally legit. Also, I totally agree. If the Astros win this year, I don't want to hear it. Congratulations to Dusty if they pull it off, and if not, you just got to tip your cap to the Phillies. I really hope that's not the case, but hey, Phillies had a great run.
I have to say a word of advice to the Phillies fans. I didn't get a chance to really look into how bad this and if there was anything that got a little out of hand with them celebrating. Please did not destroy property. If you get, I don't know what it is with the Philly teams. Every time they win, they freaking need to wreck property. All right, right. You're messing with people's jobs. You're messing with people's livelihoods. You're messing with their property. It costs a lot of money. I mean, I don't think anyone would like. I don't think anyone would like it if your car got messed up. That is a really worse. I mean, people. I mean, people there should be upset if their car got messed up, got destroyed in the championship. Those things are not expensive. I don't own a car. I don't. I mean, I intend to get my license, but if I own a car and had a license, I would be upset even if my favorite team won and they were to celebrate, I would be upset to see my car destroyed. So please not do not feel the need to wreck your city. All right, show some respect to to your city. You got respect in that way. I have no problem with going nuts and making a lot of noise. Maybe you lit up a couple of fireworks, but don't trash your own. Don't completely trash your city like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Keep it safe, guys. Celebrate, but keep it safe. From the Best Seat in the House podcast, take our advice.
I could actually, I pretty much from everything I've seen or I could recall, and we definitely do not do that in New York. I mean, we go nuts. We make a lot of noise. I mean, we crowd the streets, but we don't destroy property like that.
True. True.
Property. I'm sure that I didn't see like representation. I mean, is it gonna? I have to admit in Philadelphia, is it gonna get to the point in Philadelphia that cops are gonna have to bribe teams not to win a championship because they don't want to deal with the stress of any championship riots?
Well, luckily they haven't had to deal with that for at least a good 14, 15 years. And well, minus the Super Bowl parade though. I'm talking about the Phillies. And let's hope it stays that way for the Phillies. But I did want to move on because we are running low on time. So before we get out of here, though, I did want to mention the Knicks real quick. And I know obviously we were distracted by the Rangers tonight, so we didn't really get to see a lot of the Knicks game. But the Knicks did win in overtime against the Magic. Really great win. It looked like they were gonna lose at the end, but they came back. They tied the game 122, took it to overtime, and ended up winning. I mean, so far you've been seeing a resurgence out of Julius Randle. This kid Jalen Brunson looks like he's a legit point guard that the Knicks have had for the first time in a long time. I mean, what are your early thoughts on the Knicks here, Dan?
I feel like early, maybe the expectations aren't shouldn't really be so high this year, but I do expect that this team is going to be a, a team on the rise. That I feel like whatever success they have this year needs to be they need to build on this season toward next year. This season is going to be a pivotal season in determining the team's future. I feel even if it's not big success, it's the entire their future revolves around how they progressed this season.
Oh
It's
yeah, I
good,
totally agree.
and they got to continue this progression toward becoming a better team, and hopefully be able to make the moves they hope to make during the off season that we've historically have not been able to pull off. Hopefully they could finally be able to pull it off, and maybe if have be able to get if they need to rely on a high draft pick, maybe not be so let down because we've all seen how that history is. I mean, I'm sure you remember. I don't know. I wish you could have saw me at John Sullivan's after an episode of the Eastside Dave show when they had the TV, like the NBA draft lottery was on the TV. I'm watching this NBA draft lottery, and when I saw where the Knicks fared in that draft lottery, like I mean, we were hoping for the number one pick. I
Yeah,
think this
that was the year that they ended up getting the third pick and got RJ Barrett.
yeah, 2019, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you made like a real loud f bomb in John Sullivan's that night.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, but you know what though, I was gonna say Jr. RJ ended up being a pretty good pick, and he's been much more durable than the kid that went first over the first overall that year, Zion.
maybe it did work a little bit better than what I thought when that faithful night what I thought that faithful night at John Sullivan's.
Yeah, and luckily too, the Knicks didn't go crazy. Obviously, guys like me and you really wanted the Knicks to trade for Donovan Mitchell this offseason. And we were very disappointed when he ended up getting traded to Cleveland Cavaliers. But one of the things that made that trade not happen to the Knicks is that apparently um, the Suns really wanted RJ Barrett in any trade, and I don't blame the Knicks for not including RJ in the trade. And the plus side of that now is that they still have RJ, they still have a lot of the assets around them, and they have so much trade capital and draft capital that they can get rid of to bring in a disgruntled star, which in the NBA pops up all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it could I feel it might work out in our favor at the end, and we didn't have to sacrifice a player that was gonna play a big factor in our future.
Exactly, because RJ could be a an all star in this league, no doubt about it. And all right, everybody, I think that's just about going to do it for us tonight on Best Seat in the House podcast. Before we get out of here, Dan, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Sure, my Twitter account Bobo103 NYC. on Twitter, Bobo718DK on Instagram, Daniel Kurlan on YouTube.
All right, yeah, definitely make sure to follow Dan and subscribe to his stuff there. And if you want to check us, our show out, you can check out on Twitter at bsith_podcast. You can check out my personal Twitter account at KramerNY, and you can check us out on Instagram at Best Seat in the House Podcast. So, once again, thank you everybody for tuning in and supporting the show and following us on social media and everything. And this is the Best Seat in the House Podcast. We'll catch you next time.